Welcome back to our next session of Transformational Insight. Our topic is 21 Reasons Traditional Training Fails. And so let's get started with reason number 12, why training fails. And that is that it's not customized to the individual employee. We talked about this at another time, that if you are not dealing out the training and the development at the level that your high performers want it and need it and can consume it, they're going to go where they can be challenged or be developed. So let's talk a little more around why training that's not customized to the individual employee is a problem.
Well, I think in terms of that high achiever, they can become a little disenchanted from the perspective that the organization doesn't know me. Can't they see what I can do? And then I go to training and it's more general and it's slow paced. I become easily distracted. And it immediately puts that high performer at risk to either become disenchanted with the organization and end up somewhere else, or, suddenly my heart's not in it. And gosh, I would hate to see a high performer not perform at their natural level because their heart's not in it.
And I also think training hasn't come up with solutions across the whole industry that are more customized and personalized for the individual. They've always offered generalized training. There needs to be solutions out there that are on demand, that team members at the front line can kind of pick and choose what's best for them or what their manager and they agree to, what those skills are that need to be developed. And I think that hasn't been addressed across the entire industry, and that's what's needed today.
Marguerite, why hasn't that been addressed?
I think it hasn't been addressed because they haven't found a solution, or haven't found a solution that they feel is viable financially. I think they look at it as an expense rather than an investment in the team member. Going to a training class is just, I think, yesterday's way of approaching the issue. I think on-demand, personalized at the individual level is critical today because skills are all over the board. And I think that will be the key to success going forward for any and all organizations.
I think that as a culture, we've become more and more me-focused. So as an employee, if you feel the organization doesn't understand you or isn't meeting you where you are, it's harder to get buy-in. I think that's becoming more and more the case. And then when we're talking about a high performer, that individual has been building relationships. So the loss or the disengagement of that high achiever is real dollars and cents to the organization. So I don't think any organization can afford to not be as customized as possible.
It's all about building the greatest team, starting with that most important resource, the human capital, and developing it to the best of your ability. And without customized training, you're going to lose the upper half and you're going to lose line of sight over the lower half of that curve of learning, if you will. If I'm picking teams, I want to have an all-star team. And if I want to retain the hearts and minds of those all-star players, I'm going to have a training that's being delivered in a manner that appeals in a very customized way to my learning abilities and speed, and makes me feel competent at what I do. And I can observe or have proof of that competency other than just, my own self view of it. And if I build a nucleus of a team of players like that, I'm going to win in the marketplace. There's no doubt about it.
And can you imagine an HR organization recruiting to that actually being on their value statements? This is how we view training.
Oh, yeah. And then top talent trolling social media and seeing that employees at my place love it because they're being developed to their own capabilities. And it's just going to attract more top talent. I mean, it's funny how it builds on itself when you do it well. And unfortunately, when you don't do it well, the exact opposite happens. It begins to collapse upon itself, and the word of mouth and the social media is negative, and your HRs are under stress and under fire, and they're just not getting the top talent. And it can be a nightmare if you don't do it right.
And so building on that, why isn't traditional training customized to the individual? I mean, we've identified clearly that this has many implications along the way. So why isn't traditional training customized to the individual today? What's stopping a financial institution from delivering truly individually customized training? That's the big question for the hour, isn't it?
Well, it's hard to find it in the marketplace. Is it available?
Right.
And if it is, how expensive is it going to be? And how do we administer it?
Exactly.
I mean, those are those questions the HR folks are asking themselves.
Yeah, and then when the
Exactly.
CFO views the budget and looks at the expense, they're going to challenge, are you really going to deliver me the top talent? What if we cut it in half and offered this training and then we get these halfway results? Isn't that just as good? My expenses are down. Maybe I have a better profit margin. But, you're diminishing the culture of your organization. I think we can all look back on our work history. You remember the people that impacted you the most, the organizations that impacted you the most. I can remember the first organization I was in management with and how much they invested in training me. And to this day, I revere them for that. And anytime I see anyone that works for that organization, I think higher of them because I feel like they were given that same opportunity that I was, and they were held to a certain standard and everything was aligned, and it made a difference. It made a difference in how I came to work every day, and I'm sure it made a difference in them. I think most organizations, when it comes to developing their talent, want to leave that legacy in some way, shape, or form, because then you're on that upward cycle.
I love that, to look back and say, we want to be that organization that when you look back across time, you're not saying that was a nightmare and how I spent my career or developing career, but rather saying, when I was there, I learned more and gained more than any other organization that I worked with. I don't think we think that nobly today, but how it would change things if we did.